Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to TCR, Trinity Competitive Racing, where you can find some of the best racing throughout Formula One games and iRacing. Today we find ourselves at the Shanghai International Circuit for round 11 of the Challenger Series. F1 Nerd has taken the points lead from some guy in the Drivers' Championship after his dominant win 2 weeks ago in Saudi Arabia. But the question is, can he maintain this momentum and push himself closer to his first TCR championship? My name is Camden Luca, and we are back after the two-third season break for the Chinese Grand Prix. And if you look at the screen, we do have some raindrops, so this is gonna get spicy very quickly. I am alongside my co-commentator, Sir Charles. I wasn't expecting any weather, so this kind of just got very spicy very quickly.
I'm not sure. I'll kind of, pull my own Nico Rosberg and just completely disagree with you here, Crofty. But I believe it did the opposite for qualifying. Because congratulations on D-Switch for the pole. I don't think anyone else is going to be going faster than this in these conditions. So, hey, maybe we'll get an early start to the race if everyone can retire here. But yeah, certainly smaller grid tonight, but we've had, I forget which race it was, but we only had 8 guys in it, and it was an absolute barn burner race. I think it was like Qatar or something. So yeah, I'm certainly there's going to be a few fireworks here, and F1 Nerd looking like he's well on his way, but I probably just pulled the ultimate commentator's jinx on him, especially if it's looking like we might have some rain, so. Yeah, unfortunate for guys like Joby who didn't even get to put a lap in, but yeah, I don't think anyone else is going to be improving at all. Connor's on a lap. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing, but yeah, it's going to be interesting.
This is the point where we will see where the grip levels are at. The rain continuing to fall down a little bit. Like you mentioned, Joby did crash out. I did see on the map that he crashed out of turn 16, that final corner, and that is the same corner where Fernando Alonso showed that he could enter some sort of drifting contest and probably wipe the field, because that was one of the better saves I've seen recently.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Sorry, I gotta take care of something else.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. So here comes Jabbar down through that long sweeping first right-hander. Expected gears around 4th to 5th gear throughout that entire corner. But now he heads down into this hairpin of turn 6, the beginning part of the second sector of the track. And this is where the grip levels will really get to be tested. Through this high-speed left-hander, you should go flat out, but you see by the throttle usage, Jabbar unable to go flat out. He clips the grass there, a little bit of oversteer, as he heads into turns 9 and 10 now. This is always a tricky spot for traction. It looks like, yeah, I don't think any laps will get improved, and as a matter of fact, Jabbar has just bailed out of his lap, it looks like. You can see he's struggling for grip, trying to reach that limit, but due to the wet weather, 8 minutes left in qualifying, and this might have been all that she wrote. D-Switch is going to, looks like, maybe give another effort, but it looks like based on his battery usage, he has already put in the white flag. His lap is over. F1 Nerd's lap is over. This is it for qualifying, but Speedy Gunner is going to give it a second try. Can he improve some positions here as he rounds his way through this long sweeping first corner? He put up a 32.8, a little over a second behind D-Swish, and you see there out of turn 4, it looked like he was struggling for grip, and yeah, you see he's just going to give up on this one. So that is going to do it for qualifying D-Swish. Like Charles just said, D-Swish getting pole position in one of the quickest of ways that you can imagine here in TCR qualifying. And we mentioned at the top of the show that some guy is not here. His championship rival, F1 Nerd, whose qualifying results have been somewhat average this season, he's going to be starting on the front row. Oh, Speedy Gunner. He's going to do a little off-road racing here. Giving us something to look for as he is the last driver on track, and he's going to do a little burnout here in the hairpin. Well, Speedy has declared himself the winner. 6 minutes left in quali. We haven't even reached 9 o'clock on the East Coast yet, but Speedy Gunner has declared this official. That was a bit of a Fernando Alonso impression right there. Now, Speedy, I don't know if I would do this to these soft tires. You might need these in the race at some point. And there he goes again. So this, this could be a very quick quali because we just saw Chabar retire. There's really, unless if you're a showman like Speedy, there's no reason to really be out on track anymore. So I can see these guys maybe coming together and being like, do we want to go to bed 5 minutes early? Yes. I think Connor wants to go to bed 5 minutes early. He is going to retire from quali. And if everybody retires from quali here, we can get this show on the road. Yeah, well, ladies and gentlemen, if you weren't ready for the race yet, I would say get everything you need because we're about to get going for round 11 of the Challenger Series, and this is the second time we've been to China this week. If you missed the F1 race from Sunday, F1 was at this very same racetrack. D-Swish, last guy to retire. Saving the best for last. I wonder, this might be one of the shortest TCR qualifying sessions we've ever had. Because I remember sessions where, it started to rain towards the end, but I don't remember everybody retiring before qualifying is over, unless if D-Swish wants to just hang out for the next 4 minutes. And he does retire, so that will do it. In a abbreviated qualifying session, D-Swish gets pole position by just 88 thousandths over championship leader F1 Nerd. Pilot in third position, F1 Nerd's teammates, current constructors leaders, Red Bull, starting second and fourth today. Connor P5, Speedy Gunner P6, Oreo African P7, and Joby, unable to get a lap in, rounds out the grid in the caboose in P8. Well, I hope whatever Charles is doing, he can get what he needs. If he's taking a dump, hopefully he's getting done with that. I don't know what he's doing, but you might want to run back to your TV screen, Sir Charles. You might want to come back to the commentator's box because we have a sunny Chinese Grand Prix. We do have a report it could rain towards the end of the session, but for now, it's all blue skies here in Eastern Asia. Some guy is on his lunch break. What time is it for you? Oreo is declaring his prediction. Oreo says P1 for himself, which, speaking of predictions, it is that time. It is predictions time, where Charles and I get to predict the top 3 finishers of the race in correct order. Well, Charles isn't here. He's either still taking a dump or walking the dog or having his supper. So I'm gonna go and do my top 3 predictions incorrect order right now. Well, I was going to wait until we saw the starting order because, quite frankly, I kind of forgot what people were starting. And I wanted to look at the strategy as we take a look at Chabar and Connor starting on mediums, everybody else starting on hards. Yeah, you know, F1 Nerd, I gotta go F1 Nerd. He's been on a roll recently. He had what I argue to be his greatest race in this league a couple of weeks ago at Saudi Arabia, winning by some 20 seconds or so over the rest of the competition. So I think he carries this momentum and gets himself a little bit closer towards his Drivers' Championship. So I will go F1 Nerd P1. I'll go, I want to look at the stats recently. I want to see who kind of needs to get the monkey off of their back, if you will. I'm going to go Pilot P2. Pilot, last couple of races, he had a DNF in Imola, an 8th in Saudi Arabia, so I'll go Pilot P2. And then I'll go D-Switch P3. So F1 Nerd, Pilot, and D-Switch for my podium. Is that a Charles I hear in the background?
Okay. Hello.
Yeah, I'm sure you were surprised to see this.
Oh yeah, wasn't it supposed to be raining? Anyway, so I'm gonna go, Pilot F1 Nerd D-Swish. I have no idea what you said, so hopefully it's not the same thing.
F1 Nerd Pilot D-Swish, so a little different. Yeah, so as long as you're not copying me word for word, bar for bar, then I think we're all set.
I've been underestimating Pilot all year, so. So I feel like maybe it's about time I stopped doing that.
Some guy says that F1 Nerd is going to finish P1. He's got Speedy and Oreo P2 and P3. What do we think of that?
I mean, I'd say Oreo is more likely than. I mean, Speedy's faster, but he just gets 90 seconds of points every race. I don't know, that'd be a tall task, and I mean, I personally don't see it, but anything surprised me. Oh, Joby doesn't know. Oh, well, wow, okay.
Nobody knows how to park. Well, if you haven't already, get your popcorn, get your drinks, do whatever makes you feel comfortable, because it is about to get good. 5 red lights on the grid. Lights out and away we go from the Chinese Grand Prix. Who gets off the line the best? D-Swish gets the jump. F1 Nerd to the inside though. He's got the momentum heading down into turn 1. He's got the preferred line in 4th gear. He's side by side with D-Swish for the lead. Who's going to get the advantage here in this left-hander? F1 Nerd is going to clear him for the time being. Behind the two of them, though, side by side for P3. Looks like Chabar gets the acceleration around the outside of Pilot, and he gets into the podium. It's a double podium for Red Bull, but here comes Chabar to the inside. D-Swish locks up. Chabar's up 2 spots in 1 lap.
Chabar really trying to take advantage of those mediums there. Oreo Hafkin almost had a moment towards the back of the pack, but everyone gets it straightened out. Yeah, someone not taking advantage of the medium power is Connor. He actually lost a spot there. Chabar is on the move into Red Bull 1 too early. We've never seen that before.
Yeah.
Oh, and here Connor's got to run on Speedy. Speedy got on that curve there. It's a bit obnoxious sometimes. We've all done that before.
Oh,
Speedy's a big wiggle.
Yeah, Speedy fighting for grip here in this long right-hander of turn 13. Connor to the inside. Speedy tucks in line, trying to get that slipstream, but Connor's got the straight line speed, and off he goes.
Connor, that thing is a rocket in a straight line.
Here comes Chabar at the front.
Oh no, Oreo! Oreo just bodied Connor out of the way, and Speedy got he got overtaken, and he got a 2 for 1. They're still side by side. Oreo, I think, let Connor back by there. He probably bit bad about that one. And, yeah, ultimately let him back by, but both lost a lot of time. Anyway, as we were saying, Chabar took the lead.
Chabar up 3 spots in the first lap. One of the better race starts you will see. And like you said, it is a Red Bull 1-2. And yeah, I'm kind of... in most cases, I would be sick of seeing that. But in the Challenger Series, that's not an issue.
It's a little bit different here because it's kind of the equivalent of Perez leads Max.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. Shabar actually still looking for his first podium of season 17. He came very close back in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I know. Just a bit of a racing incident. It coulda, woulda, shoulda for him, but you are expect. I think according to Speedy, there is rain at some point during the race. I tried to ask to get more clarification on that, couldn't get any. So we'll see if there's any changes to that. Here comes Connor with his absolute rocket in a straight line. He's top. What? I want to know what wings Connor is running. Oh my! Speedy usually runs very low downforce setups. Speedy's usually running a rocket in a straight line. Connor just gained half a second on him. Went by Speedy, who's standing still there.
Speedy though, man, what an exit he got! He is bum drafting Connor down the front straightaway, peeks it to the inside, and he'll tuck back in line.
Yeah, I think Speedy, he got through that turn so much better. Yeah, Speedy's just using the downforce there. I'm pretty sure it's just a difference in setups there.
Connor is the first ever driver to run negative wings. He's got -5 and -3, I'm guessing. Oh, Joby!
Yeah,
Crashes out, and that is a virtual safety car.
Virtual safety cars are such an anticlimax. They just do nothing most of the time. Especially this early in the race. Like, nothing's gonna hit. I'm not sure if we talk about strategy here, but undercut's extremely powerful with the tire fall off here, so once one person pits, I have a feeling the rest will follow the next lap, probably. Let's see who pulls the trigger first. And that was a maybe it'll be like the Bottas one, where there's just the VSC for 2 laps, and he just well, they haven't gone past him under full green. He's just standing there waving at everyone as they drive by, but.
Yeah, that was one of the more frustrating situations I've seen recently. They had a virtual safety car for a couple of laps. You saw the Penguins try and get the car off the track. They couldn't. And then they had to call a safety car, and yeah, that was pure comedy.
Yeah, and both the VSC and the full safety car things came... Oh, Chabar!
I was gonna say something because Chabar's had a bad habit of doing this under virtual safety car. He gets a drive-through, and that completely blows up his 1.5 second lead.
Yeah, that's a shame. Gonna have his work cut out for him to come back from that, that's for sure. Another thing I hope they do in the new game is fix the VSC seems to be extremely erratic, and that's not really an excuse for Chabar because everyone knows how erratic the VSC delta is, and everyone should know you have to keep a very respectful distance on the VSC. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure what that was. Yeah, I hope they fix that in the new game. Also, hope that they have kind of like a weather system for commentary for spectators. So we can guess if the weather is doing.
Yeah. At the same time, though, I can understand why they don't have that. Because in real life you can't guess the weather. Well, I mean you can guess it, but you don't know it.
Why do the drivers have so much more information than we do?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, we should have the same information that drivers do, I feel like.
Yeah.
Chabar, I think, was kind of letting let F1 nerd catch back up to him, and I wonder if we're going to see some team tactics here. If Chabar is just going to park the bus. He had a couple laps to stay out. I wonder if he would have, maybe pulled a fence move and just park the bus for him. That's Now he put the delta on extremely early there, so he lost another second.
One thing you do gotta remember, Charles, coming into the pit lane here, it's extremely crucial to really hit your mark and not go over that white line, because if you thought they were strict at Abu Dhabi, they are way more strict here at China.
Yeah. You talking about inside or outside or both?
More so the outside, but definitely both. Because you can cut, like, if you come into the pit lane here, you can cut the white line a little bit, but you run the risk more so of going outside, you know, running too deep into the pit entry.
D-Swish dumping the battery, trying to get within DRS range of F1 Nerd. I think he was just outside of it. He just passed the line. Yeah, he was just outside of a couple hundredths. I do not think he'll get DRS here, but
nope. Pilot, however, does get DRS, but look at his battery usage. He's already below 10%. Oh!
Are he hung on to it? He didn't lose a whole lot of time there. But hey, a couple tenths when you're trying to get in DRS range.
Yeah, I think he's lucky, though, that Pilot has mismanaged that battery to an extreme. I don't see anybody else around him or on the grid. Take a look at this, though. Behind him, Speedy trying to make this happen on Connor. They're going to attempt to go side by side in the long sweeping right-hander. Speedy, though, gets the advantage.
Yeah, Speedy made a little bit of an error on the exit of the final turn, and Connor from long ways back, like that negative downforce setup just ran him down. But like I said, Speedy has so much better grip through the first corner. He's able to in that position relatively easy, I'd say.
Yeah, it's so interesting to look at his throttle usage in turn 7. That left-hander Connor just went through. Oh, Speedy's really pushing it, trying to fight for grip.
Pilot's going to be looking for an overtake on D-Swish. He's really close, and D-Swish lost about half a second this lap. He does get a pretty good exit there onto the main straight, and he chooses to use battery. Probably the Pilot.
That was, I'm not sure D-Swish knew what he was doing there. He kind of looked to go defensive and then tuck back in line. Pilot, though, is going to stay in line for the time being, maybe save his move for the front straightaway.
Yeah, either that or, you know, these guys they're both trying to catch F1 or, you know, maybe they don't want to battle unless it's a super easy overtake. Last thing you want to do is go side by side into the hairpin there and lose so much self-content.
What a switchback for Speedy Gunner out of turn 16. He gets back ahead of Connor. Connor, though, might have something to say about it. He does not.
Yeah, he definitely thought about it, but not better of it there.
Yeah, he was thinking, do I want to take Speedy Gunner to the inside going into turn 1? Probably not this time. Both Connor and Speedy down to second gear there in turn 6, the beginning part of sector 2. Speedy in 6th gear, Connor also in 6th gear through turn 7.
The whole second gear usage, telltale sign of traction control. I'm a student.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that in Challenger.
I think they both use traction control. I could be wrong, but that's usually what it is.
Yeah, Connor definitely does. The way he accelerated, yeah, you cannot do that without traction control, what he is doing. No way.
I think Speedy did too. He kind of mashed the throttle as soon as he got a little loose. Connor going to get an easy overtake here, but I was thinking Speedy will get him right back. If not in the next straight, probably on the next lap.
You know, I will say, Charles, as much as we kind of, not bash Speedy, but as much as we call Speedy an aggressive driver, as you can see right there, he does a good job of not missing his braking points. You know, there's very few scenarios where I see him running into somebody, you know, especially under braking. Don't do it here, though, Speedy. He's getting a little close. Don't give me the first commentator's curse of the night.
Well, I mean, you say he is also not afraid to look the stamp and send it a bit, so, Yeah, it looks like Pilot's. It's been Pilot's turn the past lap or so to have a bad lap. He's dropping way back from D-Swish. D-Swish keeping a gap stable from himself.
That mistake, though, for D-Swish really cost him in the hairpin, as it looks like Oreo African has spun out, and he is now in the grasp of Chabar for P6, and Chabar has got the spot.
Speedy really seems to be struggling onto the long term to get onto the CRS straight here. He cost him last lap, and he lost about 3/10 this lap, so. See Connor, I mean, part downforce, but he doesn't even have to touch the battery there. Speedy all the way down in first gear, that confirms traction control. I don't know about you. The only place there you can touch first gear is maybe that hairpin at Monaco.
Yeah, I would say that's the one corner I go down in the first gear, because I know the first corner at Monza I don't do that.
I can count on one hand the number of corners I go down the second gear. And most of them are Monaco. I think I'll go down a second in that one hairpin after the bridge in Singapore. I hardly ever touch that. What about you? Do you ever go to second gear in any corner? Oh, thanks.
Speedy. Speedy again. I would say, honestly, in the hairpin here, I go to second gear, but I short shift up to third. Oh, bad corner there for Speedy. It looked like he got on the curbs there, and Connor is going to go away forever. Connor's wishing he would get away forever from Speedy, but
again, Speedy kind of struggling there through that little complex there.
Yeah, that's one of those corners, Charles, where you got to be really patient, and if you're not the most patient driver, it can get you.
For sure. Pilot's really starting to drop back now. I wonder if he's just mismanaged tires, or maybe just the setup he's running isn't particularly great on tires. It's one of those things I would consider pitting early if I was Pilot, because like I said, the undercut is so powerful here. But at the same time, it is clouding up. There is still a bit of sun, with us expecting rain. You never know how quickly it's going to come here. Codemaster's weather system is unpredictable as that can be at times.
We did get a report before the race that we would get rain at the end of the Grand Prix, which is ironic because we had this exact same thing happen in qualifying, but we might get it before the end of the race at this rate because, like you said, I'm noticing more clouds appearing by the lap. Let's see how Speedy does through here this time around.
This one's better. The only thing I would change if I was him is I'd shift up the fourth gear earlier.
Yeah. He also, I think he's on controller, and it's hard to really be smooth with your steering, but he could have also been a little more direct with, because you want to start the corner at the top of the track towards the curbs on the left-hand side, and then kind of work your way to the bottom a little bit. So he could have been a little more direct, but here he goes. Is he going to make a move here on Connor? Oh, he sends it! A bit of contact! He's drifting through turn one, and that is quite a way of making an overtake happen.
Yeah, Connor gave him just enough room there. And that was almost curtains. Look at Connor. I don't know why Connor's using the battery there of all places, but Connor has so much more battery, I think he'll easily get him on the next DRF straight if he wants to. I mean, he could just save the battery, but...
Well, you know, I think he was a bit frustrated there, and he was looking to find an excuse to lick the stamp and absolutely send Speedy into Japan, but he wasn't close enough. Yeah, send him into a different time zone. Oh, Speedy might be doing that for himself here. Well, I will say, I do want to thank these boys for doing this, because if it weren't for them, we would have nothing to talk about.
This gap keeps on getting bigger and bigger up front, so...
Yeah, Speedy's... this might be his most difficult task here. He's as far back as I've seen him ever since he had that big mishap in turn 12, but this time around he's really low on the battery compared to Connor.
Speedy, I just try to stay calm. You should still have better tires, although the way he's driving, it doesn't necessarily look like that, but... Dude, those mediums, they're at the point now where they're going to start hurting.
Pretty decent acceleration there for Speed. He doesn't lose much time on corner exit, but not close enough to send it here on Connor. He does get better acceleration, I think, all around, partially because his setup definitely has higher wings compared to Connor.
This is an interesting point in the race for Connor, because, you know, on the medium tires is normally the point where you would look to pit on the mediums, you know, lap 12, 13. Speedy, what? Oh boy. But anyway, but, you know, you risk stretching it to the rain. I mean, you know, it could start raining in the next couple laps, honestly, but it could also not rain till lap 22, so... certainly a risk.
You know, I wonder if you're somebody like Chabar or Oreo, do you pit in the next couple of laps for softs and go for fastest lap? If you're Oreo, especially.
I think you pilot almost spun there. I just caught the tail end of that. That is certainly something you could do. Yeah. Alright, give me another second. I'm going to have to step away again. Sorry about this.
Alright, yeah, no worries. Can Speedy get back to Connor's rear wing? Speedy really desperate for battery. If this were his phone, he would need to charge it. Oh, a little bit of NASCAR bump and run action there. He's letting him know he is there. The switchback, pushing it to the limit. Oreo does come in and pit, just as I said. Connor goes defensive. Speedy to the outside. Does the switchback, though, as he always does, to perfection. These two are not lifting here as they head into this long left-hander of turn 7. Speedy around the outside. He's got the preferred line now into turn 8. And he gets that spot back. I think Oreo might have heard me, because here he is trying to go for a fastest lap on soft tires, which tells me the rain is approaching. Speedy not the most proficient through that corner of the racetrack. Turn 13, the unlucky 13 is unlucky for Speedy, because here comes Connor with the momentum, and around the inside he goes. Speedy too far back to make a move now. And these two are playing leapfrog to a T, and now the question is, which one of them will blink first and come into the pits? Because I have a feeling everybody is going to have to make a pit stop here sooner than later. Speedy, though, he's got that straight line speed. He's gonna take a peek to the inside. That's not gonna work this time around. Speedy makes contact, and he spins out in turn 1. That was waiting to happen, and he receives the blunt end of that incident. Now Connor gets to run away. And quite frankly, he's lucky that Connor didn't spin there, because that would have been a penalty point plus for Speedy Gunner 45.
Ooh, what did I miss?
Yeah, you chose a good time to walk away. I think Oreo, first of all, I think Oreo heard me, because he did exactly what I said. He's going to go for fastest lap. Speedy tried to make a move into turn 1. It finally did not work out for him, and they made contact.
Oh, Speedy! Oh, he almost spun out there. That was close.
I will say, though, Oreo probably should have saved a little bit more of the battery, because he does not have much to work with, so he's going to have to be pretty spot on here if he wants to get this fastest lap. Purple Sector 1.
Sector 2 is where you're really going to make up a whole lot of time with fastest lap.
He stays in 7th. He should have gone down to at least 6th. I like the fact he went down to 4th there, though. Down the 3rd through this double left-hander.
It is looking rainy in China.
Mm-hmm. It sure is.
Which China, there's usually so much smog, because it probably just looks like a normal day, but it is what it is.
Well, we have reached lap 15, which means we have officially reached the TCR halfway point of the race. It's been, oh, well, you know, I'm going to save the analysis for the end, because here are the raindrops. They have officially arrived.
Alright, let's see if Oreo put a nice stroke of genius here. There it is. I don't think anyone's going to take that away from him, so.
No, I mean, look at the screen, Charles. It is a Silverstone monsoon, reminiscent of a couple of seasons ago. It is just starting to rain a lot here in just the past 30 seconds.
Typical monsoon for Codemasters. First thing who's probably going to be the most thankful this is probably going to be Connor, because the mediums have got to be toast at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Man, F1 Nerd, the last couple of races, he's done everything he's needed to do, but is this going to be his Achilles heel? D-Swish, first one to blink.
Connor, unsurprisingly, into the pits. I think this is a good move by D-Swish, because look at how, I mean, you can just see it's already puddling. New Connor's coming. Yeah, it's already slick here.
I'm telling you, man, this is not good for F1 Nerd. He's got a long way to go to come back to the pits.
I mean, DRS technically hasn't been disabled, and I'm going to take a look at the delta between D-Swish and Pilot here. Oh yeah, D-Swish is eating into that gap and right on cue. There's that. Yeah, D-Swish is much faster than the guys ahead of him.
Man, this helicopter, don't get too high, helicopter man. We don't want you going to the moon here.
Shabar chose a bad time to get onto the back of Speedy, right as DRS is disabled.
Oh.
That's when we are new battle.
Oh man, Shabarik, these two cannot get away from each other. We might as well just get the ceremony underway. And by ceremony, I mean marriage. Here comes F1 Nerd into the pits. Man, this dude is just sliding all over the place here. Goes down to neutral here. F1 Nerd misses his braking point a little bit.
Don't speed. It's really easy to speed when there's no traction. Okay, good job there. Oh, some Tokyo drifting there. Get the music going. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, Pilot! Pilot didn't drift. He just went straight. That's going to cost him. A ton of time.
The Pilot saw a Chinese buffet across the street, and he was more focused on that.
Yeah. F1 Nerd still comes out with the lead.
Man, that's impressive.
I I mean, that gap was close to 5 seconds. It's now 2.5 seconds. So it was a bit of... I'll be honest, I thought it was going to be a little bit closer than that, too. But still, D-Switch made up a good amount of time. The tires are warm. And look at how much time Pilot lost. He's in 4th place now.
Yeah.
Good ways behind Connor.
Yeah, that was a crucial mistake for Pilot. Hard to guess your breaking point in that area, in that circumstance, but you gotta not make those mistakes.
Meanwhile, Speedy is eking away from Chabar here. Considering how quickly Chabar was closing in on him before the rain.
Yeah, this sucks for Chabar, though. I mean, he was leading the race, gets a drive-through, and he's going to have to settle for maybe a top 5 finish.
I just wonder if Speedy put the higher downforce on anticipation for the rain. Of course, as on edge as he seems to drive, probably needs all the downforce to get right now.
I'm curious as to how he's going to be through this corner with these conditions.
He overdrove it into the left-right part. That looked sketchy, but he still pulled out a gap on Chabar there, so...
Yeah,
sketchy,
it looked like Chabar was squirming as well, it looked like. Both of these guys just trying to figure out where the limit is at the moment. Ooh, Chabar very wide there through turn 16. Okay, so I got a comment on the stream, and I can't believe I forgot to mention this ahead of time, but we do need to make an announcement because this past week, Chabar announced that this will be it for him. At the end of Season 17, he will be hanging up his TCR helmet.
That's a shame. You know, he desperately wants to go out with at least a podium or something. He's got 3 more rounds to do it after this. Did he say why he was hanging it up by any chance?
Yeah, I think he just is trying to focus on other things. I think it's a schedule-related thing. But yeah, no, I think that caught a lot of people off guard. Chabar, he's been here for a while now. He's going for his 3rd Constructors' Championship, which puts him on a short list of people that have won 3+ Constructors' Championships. And just based on where Red Bull is at compared to the competition, they might actually get it done next week or the week after.
Couple things to keep an eye on as the race progresses. Pilot is closing in quickly on Connor, so we could have a battle for the last podium spots here. F1 Nerd has pulled away quickly from D-Swish. Chabar is right on the back.
Speedy is blinking Chabar. A little bit more battery. Everyone, yeah, true. Everyone's, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, when you see the red light flashing rapidly like that, that means it's rainy conditions. When you see a brighter red light with less frequency and how much it blinks, that means you need to charge the battery. Man. Track's over here, buddy.
Yeah, I think I don't think he would have missed the corner by that much, but he also had to make sure he didn't completely murder Speedy there, so.
So, I just did the math. Red Bull has a pretty good chance of wrapping up the Constructors' Championship next week in Brazil, which, by the way, that race will be a 3-tire special, the last of Season 17.
Oh, Connor. that is going to hurt his chances of getting the podium, especially now Pilot being just inside the 3-second window.
Still got a long way to go, though. Still got 8 laps left, and F1 Nerd, man, he's been doing everything right. Even in the rain, I mean, look at this. He's already gained 4+ seconds on D-Swish.
It was 8.5 laps when it's raining. That's a long way to go, believe me.
Yeah. No, I mean, look at, like, F1 Nerd's been on these tires for 3 laps. He came out of the pits 2.5 seconds ahead of D-Swish. He's gained 5 seconds in 3 laps.
Yeah, I mean, that's impressive. He definitely has. Yeah, he's definitely got the pace for the wet, that's for sure. I mean, well, he had the pace before it started raining, so.
I think something we have to look for here is this battle for P3, because Pilot is closing in on Connor, and Connor does have a penalty, but that doesn't mean Pilot can't get one. I think this would be a good time to check the race director just to see where people are at. Pilot's got 1. He's only got 1, so he needs 2 more warnings if he wants to miss out on a podium here.
Speedy has 3, but a couple of those from contact for sure. Bar had 1.
I love the rain just because you get to see the exact tire tracks of where people are driving. We saw Pilot kind of set himself up for the braking going into the hairpin. He kind of went right, tucked back to the left-hand side. So now it is, man, this is borderline wet tire conditions, I feel like. I mean, it is really raining, Charles.
Yeah. Someone who started to struggle, Speedy Gunner, who dropped a couple seconds from Pilot this past lap. And Shabar has gained quite a bit on him. 2 battles going on right now.
Shabar is going to send it at the last second here. Speedy not going to give up. Oh, Chabar sideways! In the grass goes Chabar.
Oh, man, that was a great move, and he just couldn't hold it. I think Chabar learned because he, just a couple laps ago, he almost ran into the back of Speedy, and Speedy was a little early on the brakes there. I think he knew that he could go for it there. And I think that low downforce setup that Connor's running is starting to bite him right here.
Yeah, Pilot gonna get him here.
I don't know, I mean, you look straight line speed, Connor has a lot more battery to play with. This could be frustrating for Pilot. Oh, Pilot. Oh, never mind.
Like you said, though, Connor, with that straight line speed, he's gonna send it here. I'm kind of surprised he didn't, because he easily could have stuck it to the inside there.
Yeah, that's exactly what for Speedy and Chabar were hoping that Connor would hold him up a bit, Pilot up a bit, because that's the last podium spot we're going to see driving off into the distance there.
Now the question is, can Pilot pull away? And the other question is, what's going to happen behind them?
Yeah, Chabar's pulled back up to the back of Speedy. Will he try the same move into the hairpin that he did last lap? Speedy, bad exit. I think he's a little too far back here.
Oh, Chabar does it again. This time it's way more dramatic, and Chabar is going to lose a second plus to the Williams driver.
Chabar's got to be getting frustrated because he keeps on losing these huge chunks of time. He closes in on Speedy, only to lose more time. he's made this gap up like 3 or 4 times already.
Yeah.
And I think Speedy's starting to struggle here. Like I said, the rain is pretty hard. Like I said, I'm not sure if it's wet conditions or not, but you gotta think if it was borderline, one of those guys would go for it.
Yeah, well, you think about it too, Charles. Chabar, he's got to be super frustrated as well. I'm sure after the race he'll realize this, especially if you look at the interval of everybody. Chabar's really not that far behind Connor for 4th place because of Connor's penalty. But because of these mistakes, I mean, he's jeopardizing that opportunity to get even more points.
Yeah, I get the sense that if Chabar can get past Speedy here quick, he's coming through 6 to go for Chabar now. I think he could close up on Connor, but obviously you know Speedy's not going to roll over by any means.
No. No, the day that Speedy rolls over is when he's in his grave.
When he rolls over in his grave. Chabar misses the apex a little bit on that corner again, but I mean, look how much time he gained on Speedy just in that corner as well. So.
Yeah, it could be a confidence thing too. Like that, in the rain, it's a lot harder to hit your braking point, especially if you don't run ABS. And I'm not sure if Chabar runs ABS or not, but that, man, that's a new fear that I have for tomorrow. I do not want it to rain tomorrow because that would be one of the corners that I definitely will struggle in if it does rain.
Speaking of rain, that makes me happy for next week. Free tire special. Obviously, mandate no rain then, so we can use all 3 tire compounds.
Meanwhile, I do just want to mention, it's crazy to think that F1 Nerd is going to exceed what he did 2 weeks ago in Saudi Arabia, but this is definitely exceeding that because he is projected to probably win by like 25 seconds at this point.
Yeah, this is, I compared Chabar to Perez. F1 Nerd is now earning the comparison to Max in this race, because this is an absolute clinic. And yeah, no one's even coming close to touching this race, so.
Yeah, I'm telling you, dude, like, I've seen F1 Nerd the last couple of seasons really progress, and like he's continuously progressing, like literally week after week. And there's a reason I picked him for the championship, you know. And I know one of his rivals isn't showing up anymore, but he's doing this purely based off of pace and racecraft. He's finished on the podium just about every week. Doesn't crash out ever. So this is, if you know, we still have a few races left, but if he gets this championship, it's very well deserved.
Both Chabar and Speedy are drifting through that turn there.
Yeah, I noticed that. Which is, that's cool to see, you know. You want these guys on edge. Even with assists, you know, like, Speedy definitely uses traction control, but this will definitely put him out of his comfort zone, and as he goes down to neutral right there. And this will,
Chabar got on there. Just another mistake by Chabar. He just got his tires up on the curbs, and definitely want to avoid the curves when it's wet because they get really slick. That's twice I've seen him get on the curb and just kind of win whatever he has going for him. So.
This is the closest battle on track, about a second between these two rivals for P5, 10 points on the line. One goes home with 10, the other goes home with 8. For Chabar, that is more significant than Speedy, not just because of constructors, but Chabar, as he does not like that corner, Chabar is actually a few points behind Pilot for P4 in the standings. So there is some stuff on the line in drivers here for Chabar and Pilot.
What are your opinions on F1 potentially moving to the top 12 getting points?
I think that's the stupidest thing. Nico Rosberg said it best. It should be hard to get points.
Yeah.
This isn't NASCAR.
Ooh, boy. Jabbar just needs to take a deep breath and calm down. I think he's just been frustrated. I think when Prinzel, I think he knows he's faster than Speedy. It's just, every time he gets somewhat close, he just shoots himself in the foot.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely should have at least P5 today, just because, like you said, you know, he closed back in repeatedly on Speedy, but just kept making mistakes. That actually might have been a warning right there. He went all 4 tires beneath the curb. But, yeah, it's just been one of those races for Jabbar. I think he got off on the wrong foot by getting that drive-through in the lead, and at that point, I can see why either your confidence takes a hit or you become frustrated. You know what I think we need, Charles? I think we need... Whoa. Jabbar doing his best Tokyo Drift impression here in the closing laps. I think we need a TCR sports betting program. Okay. As a matter of fact, it could be a combo. It could be a sports betting, fantasy sports app that we create. I think that would be fun.
Keeping in line with the sports betting industry, that means we have to mention it every 5 seconds. We have to have about 5 different logos on the screen at all times. Live odds. And we just got to make sure that no one is ever not thinking about sports betting.
I have a bone to pick with DraftKings because I tried to sign up this past week for DraftKings, and for some reason they couldn't verify my identification, so they were like, we'll get back to you in 24 to 48 hours. They get back to me 3 days later, and all they say is, what do you think of our customer service? Please leave a review. I'm like, here's what I think. I need help. I need help. Oh, Oreo is way off the track.
What customer service?
Yeah, like, so, and then here's the thing too. I responded being like, hey, you know, I need to get my ID verified. And they're like, oh, sorry, we can't do anything. Check back in with us in a few months. No joke. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just not even gonna bother.
FanDuel is.
Yeah, I've had somebody tell me that FanDuel is pretty good, so I might give that a chance. You know, at this point, Charles, I think it's impressive that Chabar is as close as he is to Speedy.
Well, Speedy seems to have upped his game, too. I mean, Chabar was clearly faster than him about 5 laps ago, and now Chabar seems to be holding serve pace-wise, and Speedy is actually gaining on Connor. Only needs about, that was above 5 seconds for a while. Just notice he's cut about a second off of that. He only needs another second next, 2 and a bit laps to get 4th place here.
Which would tie his season best of 4th back in Silverstone. He's only got 1 DNF on the season so far. He's been pretty consistent. Hasn't quite gotten that first podium, though.
Yeah. Been just off that. I think it's, look at that. I mean, I know Connor's probably struggling with the lower downforce. Speedy has 2% better. Connor has 7%. They both have nothing, but Speedy looks like he made a mistake there. That could be crucial.
Chabar's got a lot of battery to play with. Say Speedy makes another mistake, and say Chabar fixes his mistakes and keeps it on the road. This is not over just yet. As a matter of fact, he gained a couple tenths just on the straightaway there.
Speedy is drifting. You need to be a little bit more smooth on the throttle. Man, it's okay. I say that he literally gained like 4 tenths of a second in that one corner, so what do I know? Speedy all the way down to first gear. Good grief. I think we mentioned that before, but
he's been in neutral a couple times through there. Well, I do want to go back to the front real quick, because F1 Nerd has put on a dominating clinic. He has raised the bar for what it needs to take to win a race in the Challenger Series, exceeding the expectations he put in Saudi Arabia. F1 Nerd wins the Chinese Grand Prix in dominating fashion, round 11.
I don't know why. I thought there was another lap to go, but what do I know? So I was really thinking this was going to get really interesting with Speedy and Connor, but I guess not.
D-Swish. P2, I'm sure he'll take that, considering he is about half a minute behind F1 Nerd. I'm sure this is all he was going to get today.
Yeah, and I feel like D-Swish was definitely kind of halfway off the throttle for most of that last stint once he realized he wasn't going to do anything with F1 Nerd. He just kind of brought it home. I don't think that was really indicative of what his actual pace was. Regardless, no one was touching F1 Nerd today.
It is F1 Nerd's 4th victory of the season, and as a matter of fact, he has done this in the past 6 races. If we want to be more technical, because he missed Silverstone, he's won 4 of the last 5 races.
Yeah, I mean, he's stepped up as the season's gone on. I mean, it wasn't the fastest start for him. Remember, some guy got off to such a fast start. But, yeah, shame some guy isn't here, because, I mean, F1 Nerd has really caught fire. It would have been interesting to see some guy go toe-to-toe with F1 Nerd there.
I think this is well-deserved, too, because if you flash back to earlier on this season, F1 Nerd started out with 3 runner-up finishes, and it's not like he wasn't close to winning those races. I remember Mexico, it came back down to a battle in the closing laps. I remember in Miami, I think it was close as well, so he's getting some of those missed opportunities back here in the recent weeks.
Meanwhile, Pilot kind of ruining our PlayStation party here.
Oh, no. Well, either way, I mean, if Connor finished P3, it would have been the same either way, unfortunately. So, Chavar, we got to get you on the podium. Either you or Speedy or Oreo, one of these days. Did Oreo not pit for wets?
No, he did.
Huh.
What do you mean?
It said on the pit stops that he just went from hard to soft. That's probably just the game.
He was definitely on intermediates.
Okay. Yep, I'm looking back on it. He definitely was. That's interesting.
But no, a really good strategy. I mean, really good timing by Oreo, too. I mean, he didn't have the pace, but he pitted at the exact right time and got the fastest lap point.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, definitely. Let's get this party started. Not on PlayStation, because we can't do that. But in the Comms Don't Join channel. F1 Nerd, D-Swish, and Pilots. Alright, so we will get these fellas in. Looks like we already got one in. That would be Sir Charles.
Well, I'm actually early for once. Oh, my game crashed.
Wow. Well, your game chose a good time to crash.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Wow. It's almost like it knew. All right, the race is over. It's time for me to stop working. Yeah. That yeah, I think we've had good luck this season though, because I remember in the past couple of seasons we've had a couple of issues with the host leaving the lobby and then things usually blowing up. I think that happened once this season though. Yes, it happened at Silverstone when Chabar crashed out. But I do think we got everybody in here, so we're just gonna fire away here and get this over with. Um, let's start with P1 and work our way down to P3 because F1 nerd. I think we might need to have your car inspected because that was not real. What you did, some 30 seconds or so, just in the final stint. Did you have your setup prepared specifically for the wet weather, or were you just in a different dimension today?
Well, no, I had a dry setup the whole time, so no changes in the setup. I don't know. I just started practicing for this track today as well, so I don't know. I was probably zoned out maybe or something, but yeah.
Hmm, that's kind of a flex. Just just on a Sunday drive, I guess, right?
I guess yeah, you can say that.
Um, I will say though, how easy was it to? I know you had the pace, but it seemed like the rain came pretty quickly, and we saw you ended up staying out a lap later. Probably not on purpose because the rain came at a time that wasn't beneficial for you. So once you did come in and pit for the wets or the inners, how easy was it for you to adapt to those tires?
Well, I should have pitted definitely the lap everyone else pitted. I made a mistake not pitting, but then it was kind of tough. Actually, it was easier in the beginning, like when it started raining. Then the towards the end, to lap 21, 22. That's when it started getting more and more heavier. Um, I guess adapting to it. I guess you just have to take it easy, honestly. Just not as long as you don't spin or get too much wheel spin, you'll be fine. So I was just going slow and taking my time, not taking any risks.
And I did notice from a couple of people's perspectives, it was hard breaking into a couple of corners, and one corner specifically is turn six, that right hander at the beginning of sector two. It looked like Jabbar specifically had a tough time getting on the brakes, and I know you don't run ABS, so what was your brake bias at, and how do you feel like you did getting on the brakes in these conditions?
My brake bias was 56, I think. Yeah, I'd say yeah, 56 brake bias. It was I didn't I actually found that corner kind of smooth, but braking other places, I guess maybe the inters got old. But towards the end, I was kind of having like what do you call it? A rear lock? Is that what you say?
Yeah, rear locking.
Yeah, yeah. Towards the end of the probably inters were probably old. That's why. But yeah, that's the only tough time I guess I had with brakes. But it was smooth throughout.
10-4. Charles, you got any questions for our championship leader?
Um, did you do anything? I mean, there's not a whole lot to say when you just, stomp the field like that. Did you, uh, what were you thinking about the final sit? Like, were you, like, contemplating life's greatest mysteries? Like, what was going through your mind?
I wanted to help Jabbar out towards the end because I saw he's in a battle with Speedy. But I remember that one controller, he's on wheels, so whatever I said wasn't useful that much. So, but yeah, other than that, I was just going. I was reminding myself of the race that we had, like the F1 Chinese Grand Prix that was happening. I was just thinking about that on the track. But yeah.
Alright, well, you certainly look like Max out there today, so.
Yeah, F1 Nerd, this is the one time this week I wanted to see, or at least see a Red Bull do good at China. So, congratulations.
Thank you. I also want to shout out Jafar. He, in that first couple laps, he had great pace, and he helped me out with the DRS after the PSC and getting away from D-Switch kind of. But it's a shame he got the drive through. But yeah, good recovery, I guess, from him as well. And good race to D-Switch and Pilot, GG's guys.
And speaking of D-Swish and Pilot, we are going to move on to second place today, D-Swish. I feel like we kind of paid attention to you the least out of everybody, just because you seemed like you were kind of in no man's land for a good portion of the race, while everybody behind you and F1 Nerd were kind of battling a lot throughout the race, actually. How would you rate your race? We saw a bit of a mistake under braking going into the hairpin. This was, I think, a lap or two before pit stops. But besides that, how do you think your race went?
That was the most boring race I think I've ever had in this league, honestly. I kept having to move to increase the brake bias. I kept locking rears. I was running like 58, 59%. I was still locking rears. I couldn't figure out why.
Wow.
And then it was a good race. It just, once it got wet, I just, for whatever reason in this game, I have no pace in wet weather. So, I can't do much when Jabbar is 25 seconds ahead of me.
Did you, I think you guys saw the weather report ahead of the race. Did you end up making any changes to your setup? Could you make any changes to your setup, or were you just running a traditional China setup for today?
No, I kind of just ran the time trial setup that I had. Seems like every week I do a crazy time trial lap, and then I just can't transfer it over to the race. I'll tweak the setup, and no matter what I do, I just can't. I just don't have the pace in the race. I was running a lot of front wing, and in the dry it was perfect because it was nice and pointy, but in the wet, I was just losing the rear pretty much every turn. And then I didn't put enough fuel in the car, so I was lifting and coasting after like the 10th or like right after we pit, pretty much. So.
Well, I do want to bring something up. You might not like me for saying this, but this is your third straight runner-up finish. And I know what it's like to finish second that many times in a row. I think a lot of people that run at the front, actually F1 Nerd actually had 3 runner-up finishes to start the season off. So I know that's probably got to be a bit frustrating, but I do just want to point out, you are only 39 points now behind some guy for P2 in the standings. And if we do the math, at this rate, you could catch him. So is that something you think you can do here before the season's over, is get some guy for P2?
If I was able to keep racing, I would, but I'm going to afternoon shift here come Friday, so this was actually my last race for the season, pending any crazy schedule changes here.
Really? Oh. Well, I guess that's not going to happen then. What about Wednesdays? Are you still? I know you reserve a lot for Wednesdays. Is that going to change at all?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be able to anymore.
Okay. Yeah, that seems to be the theme with a lot of people lately, which, that happens, that comes first, Charles, you got anything? I think I might have taken everything from you.
So I guess that last thing, were you more saving fuel, more just getting to the finish? It seems like you were kind of just dropping back time. I mean, were we just kind of daydreaming? Were you contemplating life's greatest mysteries? What was going on that last stint besides a whole lot of nothing?
I kind of just eased off a bit. I was losing the rear so much that I had to ease on the throttle so slowly. I was losing so much time. I just kind of wanted to make it to the finish.
Alright. Congrats on the podium regardless, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you back at some point in future seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys. GG's to the other guys on the podium.
Yeah, good race, bud. Okay, and we finish off with P3 pilots. Welcome back to the podium. It's been a couple weeks, I think, but you were pretty good today. There was that one little thing though, and it's actually not a little thing. I think you know what I'm talking about. What happened there coming into the pits?
Yeah, so on that last lap, right before we pit, it started getting really wet towards the end of the lap, and I spun it going into the second to last corner off the back straight, and then just coming into the pits, I went on the brakes. Apparently it wasn't early enough and just couldn't make the turn, so yeah, I had those two big mistakes right before pitting. But other than that, I mean, it was a pretty okay race.
I feel like the pit entry here might be the toughest pit entry in F1. And on top of that, you have this rain that all of a sudden just came. So honestly, I'm surprised we didn't really see any other major errors. Although I did notice F1 Nerd kind of drifted a little bit coming into the pits as well. So it's one of those scenarios, you know. Yeah, I am trying to think. So you and Connor were pretty close at the end, and then it was Connor that got that penalty, I believe. So just just talk about how you think your pace was in the wet.
You know, I had pretty decent pace in the wet. From when I pit, I was like 21 seconds behind D-Swish. I don't know where I was to F1 Nerd at that time, but once I got ahead of Connor, I was 31 seconds behind F1 Nerd, and it was pretty much that the rest of the race, and I just kept gaining and gaining on D-Swish. So, I mean, yeah, I think my wet pace was pretty good.
And then I actually haven't brought this up with anybody yet, but next week is Brazil. It's the 3 tire special, so what's our initial thoughts, concerns, questions that we have about next week?
Yeah, I actually won't be able to make it next week.
Oh.
I just got a lot of stuff going on, but I know last season I did pretty well at the 3 tire special, so that's always fun.
Charles, you got anything?
Not really. I mean, I guess once after you made a mistake, how did you handle the transition from dry to wet? Because it seemed like you had decent pace in the wet, albeit it was kind of hard to compare, as though you guys up front were just kind of trying to make it to the end. How's the transition from, I guess, dry to wet?
I mean, the transition didn't come too hard. It just sort of felt like it wasn't much different than driving on the really worn out hard tires. It was pretty much the same. I think I just had to be brake a little bit earlier. But other than that, I mean, I didn't have to change much in terms of how much throttle I was using or anything.
That sounds good. That's all I got. Congrats again. Pretty solid race.
Well, Charles, I feel like the race really, it was actually pretty exciting. You know, there was a lot of spread out gaps, but you had people like a Pilot, Connor, Speedy, Jabbar, all those guys were really kind of staying with each other. And that's something I've noticed, is that, this grid has been kind of smaller compared to Elite by a pretty big margin, actually. But there's always battles on track. I feel like we haven't gotten into many scenarios to where it's just a snooze fest.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's always been intriguing storyline strategies throughout the race. I think it's been a pretty good season so far, and like I said, these guys are definitely making the most out of the smaller grid sizes, and that's always good to see. So, I think the rain might have taken a little bit away from it today, but like I said, it was overall, I think the season's been going pretty well. We know the 3-tire special next week. Brazil's always a favorite track amongst other people, so it should be a good race there. And like I said, I'm sure the 3-tire special will throw in an extra wrinkle for everybody. So looking forward to seeing how that will play out.
Well, if you want to look forward to next week, the 3-tire special means we get no rain, so we get a break from the rain for at least 1 week, but we'll be in Coda the following week, so I'm sure you'll have to get your umbrellas back out for that one. But we have reached the end of the broadcast. This was round 11 of the Challenger Series from the Shanghai International Circuits. Congrats to F1 Nerd on winning the Chinese Grand Prix. My name is Camden Luca. His name is Sir Charles. Until we meet again.